no natives and dogs allowed. And I said, who has the right? In Australia, I could swim and I mixed with the Australian people. So to come back and see that angered me very much.
Sir John Kaputin, thank you so much for joining me here at this place. As we take a look back to the 1970s, what was the mood like in Papua New Guinea in the lead up to independence?
It's totally different from what it is today. By way of example, this beach, Ella Beach, we were not allowed. Natives and dogs were not allowed. This was preserved for the white people.
That's a stark contrast to where we are now, you know, after 50 years.
Well, of course, after 50 years, this is your country. Nobody can tell you that you belong in the category with dogs.
And so, apart from that sign alone, what really drove your involvement in the independence movement?
I was extremely angry at the racist attitude and set in policies by the Australian people. Restaurants were not allowed to black people. Hotels. In fact, it was my first meeting with our first Prime Minister, Sir Michael Somare. He was a teacher in Madang. When I was picked to be in the Papua team playing against my own territory, New Guinea, in the Inter-Territory Rugby League Championship. I was good enough to be picked to play for Papua, but when I got there, I had nowhere to stay. And so they called the school where Sir Michael was teaching as a young teacher, and he said, sure, send my brother here, he can stay with me. So that's where the beginning of our political association began. We were in the first group of Papua New Guineans to go through this administrative college of Port Moresby. Sir Michael was in the second group. Those in my group were Sir Albert Mauri Kiki, Kavera Rea from Hanubada. It was a very good opportunity to start develop our friendship and, of course, future relationship in politics. In 1952, the Australian colonial administration, I suppose, instructed by Canberra, to start a scholarship scheme which enables some of us to go to Australian schools. So by extension, some of us turn up at the administrative college. We were involved in a lot of protest marches here in Port Moresby, especially on Ella Beach. We were objected, one, to the racist policies by Australia, and which was reflected in the two-wage system, one for the blacks, one for the white. And that was very abusive, and some of us did not like. Secondly, was my involvement with the Matawan Association after I returned from the University of Hawaii. And there I had been involved in various protest marches, you know, the civil rights movement, a struggle for the rights of the black people in America.
What was the goals, the key goals that you and the association were striving for?
We hear of the Matawan Association It's a movement for political independence.
What is this? My people are not animals. They're human beings. And
It was the only thing that was going for us at the time. All these other leaders hop on board of the Matawan movement.
For all that you and your people have done for us, I should like to take this opportunity to thank you and your people. But we must depend upon our own national resources and trade for our own existence.
A small movement among the Motu Kotabu people was led by Lady Josephine Abijah. That was called Besena.
This is the woman who says she will save Papua and preserve its identity. Josephine Marie Abijah, schoolteacher turned politician, a Joan of Arc with a flower in her hair.
In the Trobriand, it was Kabasawali. It was started by a friend of mine who went through St. Brendan's College.
His name, John Kaputin. Address, just the Trobriand Islands.
And John Momens and I and Sir Henry Robert were there at the same time. And it played a pivotal role because we linked up when we came back. John became the member for Bougainville. John and I had formed the Melanesian Alliance. I was a close friend of Sir Michael, but politically we were different from Pangu. The Matawan Association's thinking and philosophy and so forth, totally different from Pangu. So I maintained my friendship with Sir Michael, but that's about it. Politically, we were on two different wavelengths.
What do you remember most vividly about that day, September 16?
The road to September 16 was not easy. I personally had to stand up to all the white administrators and even to Canberra. And I have to thank many good Australians who understood the history of colonialism and decolonization and who were on our side.
So were you here when we gained independence? Were you a part of the ceremony?
Of course, I was here. I was still a member of parliament. And, it was, of course, you have to be here to celebrate what you have been struggling for many years.
When you saw the Australian flag get taken down?
It was a sad occasion because, to be fair, some things done by the Australian colonial administration were fair and productive. I've spoken about the scholarship scheme that sent some of us to study in Australia.
It was an emotional day for our founding leaders.
It was, in a sense, but if you accept intellectually what you were struggling for, of course it was a joyous time.
There's a lot that we can take away from the victories and the losses and looking forward.
I have to say this during your interview. Much has not been said to thank the people, the Tolai people who struggle for our independence.
I'll be there to face the police and whatever else, and to face the consequences as I promised the Cap. And I said to him, we are sick of your bullies and we are prepared to face the consequences of your...
They were locked up. Many of them were sent to prison, but they still came out and continued with the struggle for our political independence.
one of the core that makes us Papua New Guineans, our constitution. Was it about empowering Papua New Guineans?
To construct our constitution, members of the Constitutional Planning Committee spent the best part of 2 years traveling throughout the country, gathering information and the views of the people. Before we sat down and spent 2 years discussing the issues in order to what to be put in our national constitution or recommend in our report for Parliament. I'm grateful to these very courageous members of the CPC under the leadership of the member for Bougainville, Dr. Mohammed.
Papua New Guinea ways. Why did we, from your perspective, why did we feel it was so important to have that included in the Constitution?
You have to base your future on something. If you just copy from other people, what is that? What is the strength of that for our future? We had just spent 3 months touring the country, hearing, sitting and listening in the villages, listening to our own people. The opportunity to see the difficulties that our people were going through, the lack of facilities in terms of health and education in some of the remotest part of the country. That is what you want to consider in terms of the instruments you were preparing for independence. How to deal with those deficiencies.
Have we achieved what you and our founding fathers set out to do in 1975?
We have a long way to go to address the low rate of economic growth versus the high rate of population increase. We started off 50 years ago with 2.5 million people. Now I believe we are in the region of 10 to 17 million.
When you're looking back, what are you most proud of from that time in your life?
We have achieved a lot in terms of education, but we have to accept that we've got a lot more on our plate.